And we're back. Another Durin Show episode. This is two in a month. This is like a world record for this show. And it's honestly because I got asked quite a bit, make sure we do another episode. Max really wanted to do another episode again. And we just talked about Clash. So we wanted to go back and talk about what happened at Clash because usually, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the history of the show is we'll tease a tournament or something, and then we'll never come back to it. It'll be 3 years later, and we're like, oh, I don't even remember what happened to that. And so we're actually going to go back and revisit Clash on the Coast 2025. We've got back on the show, we've got Max and Eli returning to talk about their weekend, and guest star this episode is Cory. Cory, how you doing?
Good, good. I'm stoked to talk games. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. Cory, why don't you talk about yourself a little bit? Introduce yourself, where you are, where you usually play, your kind of favorite armies, etc. How long you've been playing the game.
Okay, I think I got back into playing 2021-ish or whatnot. Started when it first came out with the two towers and had no one to play with. They got put away when I got to high school and thought I'd pull them out. So it's been good. Play a lot locally. Um, Sometimes at Max's office there on game nights or events. And so that's in Langley, BC. I live in Maple Ridge, just outside of Vancouver. And we see people like Mitchell and Eli around quite a bit coming over the border. And yeah, it's a lot of
Mhm.
fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, Cory has always been like every almost every tournament I've been to in the Northwest. He's usually around somewhere and he's hovering. He's got some very scary lists. Usually, I'm terrified because it's usually like mass shooting or something that's gonna rip me apart. It's either a bunch of like Corsairs or it's a Mordor siege bow or something like that's gonna
I
shoot
was
me off.
gonna say I didn't specify what I play, but basically anything evil. I'm not sure. I think I've busted out a good army once ever. So
Some evil shooting. It's even worse. It's even no,
in the
no, it's
combat.
very, very good. So perfect. Glad to have you on the show. We all of us were at Clash. Obviously, Max ran Clash, and we all three played all 6 games. I'm not going to reveal where we all ended up yet, but I did want to start out with Max. First off, it was an amazing, amazing time at Clash, as it always is. But me personally, with the not only the venue set up, the build up, the hype coming into the event, the social activities at night, the whole weekend, I think it was the best Clash so far. But why don't you talk about it and how you experienced it and how you thought it went?
Oh, I absolutely agree. Like every year, I'm like a nervous wreck in the lead up to Clash, and then sometimes the weekend goes off without a hitch. And last year we had a couple of hitches, and this year everything just felt so right. Like everyone just happened to end up at the same restaurant on Friday night, and that was awesome going around and talking to everybody. And then we had our biggest pub night ever with between 55 to 60 people show up for the pub
Yeah,
night, which was incredible. I think I told them like 35 to 40. As we normally get. So it was really awesome spending all that time with everybody. The games went awesome. I also think we had our best selection of terrain to date. I don't think there was a single board that was a miss uh, across all 38 tables, which was pretty incredible. And then we only had 2 drops over the course of the weekend. So we started with 76 and ended with 74. So that's pretty good as far as we've done with Clash before.
yeah, that's amazing. Just to highlight on the boards too. The one thing I've noticed too about the boards this year, and I can't say this for very many events, is a lot of times when you go to a big event like this, it's hard not to have like duplicate boards. So you have like 3 or 4 Moria boards with the pillars. You have 3 or 4 like Mirkwood boards with the forest. At this event, it seemed like you have to look for a duplicate board. Almost all the boards were completely unique, set in a different region. One was set in like Mordor, which was really cool. Ethan built that board. There was just a lot of really cool boards that I really liked.
And even the doubles boards, they're done so differently. So like Joey did this gorgeous Gondor board with the Bellingham boys, and it's like towering, towering Gondor structures. And then some other ones would be using the Games Workshop kits, which are just as gorgeous, but it's just a completely different style of board, and it really makes it look nice.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. And then to your point, like Friday night, we just showed up at this restaurant and there was probably like 30, 40 people that night too, Friday night, right? We took over the whole restaurant. They accommodated us, but it was super fun. So I loved it.
I mean, to get that restaurant to sponsor us because it is delicious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that
really
Italian
good
place
too.
rocks.
Yeah, it helps. Ah, perfect. So it was a great weekend. I did not play in the doubles, but I heard it was great event as
Yep.
always. Why don't you quickly run us through, Max, on how doubles went? We'll just kind of give a quick little synopsis on that.
Yeah, doubles went awesome. Doubles day is like the really casual part of Clash. Like no one's taking it too seriously. A lot of fun lists get broken out at the doubles. We are using the new doubles rules in the match play guide. And then our winners of the doubles were actually a pair of folks from Manitoba who we never seen out here on the West Coast before, and they came in and absolutely dominated the doubles. So that was pretty awesome to see. And they're a couple of great guys.
Yeah, they were
I
great.
think Will and Kevin.
Check
And
out
yeah,
their
doubles
channel.
days.
They have a YouTube channel. It's the Hobby
They do
Hobbits.
have a YouTube.
The
Check it
Hobby
out.
They have
I
some
Hobbits.
great
saw.
bat reps. Check them out.
I didn't know they had a YouTube channel until Clash, and then I saw a couple of videos after Clash. I'm like, oh, I should have been more on that.
Yeah, no, I met them in person for the first time at Adepticon this year, and yeah, I've been watching their channel ever since, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it. They've got a really nice attitude towards the game, a good layout, and I love their army selections personally, so that's great. Speaking of army selections, I'll skip over the Masters because no, I'm just kidding. Masters was amazing. It was great. I lost round three, so I was out pretty quick. My Hobbits, ironically, they were doing great until I got shot off the board, which it sounds hilarious because I have blinding light and 17 bows. But I ran into the guy who won the whole Masters event, and it was Rob, and he was running Defenders of Helm's Deep, and he had 30-inch bows and more bows and just shot me off the board. It was great, but he well played by him, super well played. So I was actually very happy that he won the whole thing. So very fun. And then Eli, you played Masters as well. How did that go for you?
Yeah, I placed fourth. I also exited the same third round. Uglix was doing great, but I drew in the last game against Jake,
Mm.
and we were playing Treasure Hoard, and he was up on the Masters victory points, like TP points, and so a draw passed him on. So
Ah,
it was a good game. I misplayed with my Urukai front line, but it was a good learning experience. We don't get a lot of we don't have a lot of magic, I think, in the local meta in Bellingham. So it's always fun to run into a tournament and
yes,
panic a little.
and also Jake's a good player, so
Oh yeah,
that helps
phenomenal.
too. Yeah, yeah. Cory, did you play in doubles at all, or were
Yep,
you?
yep.
Yep,
Me and my partner Phil, we ran Army of the Great Eye. It was
nice.
a lot of fun. Got some matchups that weren't great considering we had the Witch King Mouth and Shelob, and then it was a pair of bears, and then
Oh,
there was Eagles with Thorin on the one where you're defending the objective in the center, and I
uh,
couldn't keep the Eagles away from hurling at the Witch King and whatnot. But no, it was a lot of fun.
that's
Oh, but
awesome.
you have to say your greatest triumph of the doubles,
Yes.
What
the
was
death of the High King.
Oh yes, Elendil in the Lords of Battle type one where you're keeping, or sorry, the Contest of Champions one where you're keeping wound tallies on the leaders. Elendil decided he wanted to charge into Shelob, and then that fight went all right. But then we charged in the next round. He flubbed, and at the time would have got +2 to wound because of how the two handing, and then because he was down on kills. And Shelob just ate him, did like 5 wounds, and he was just off the board. And we are all just kind of like, wow, that shouldn't have happened, but definitely did.
Made for an
Also got
epic
a
moment.
also killed an eagle with a Morgul blade, so I was happy to bust out the Morgul blade once. So hadn't used that before.
Nice. Some epic
Yeah,
moments.
yeah, it was
Doubles,
fun.
for whatever reason, doubles always comes out with these most like outrageous but hilarious but like epic moments all the time. And that's the only way we're gonna get Matt to play the game again is just doubles because that's what he's addicted to. He loves doubles. So more doubles games we can get, the better. Love it.
Clash
All right, and then
2026 all doubles.
yeah, all doubles. For the main GT, we already ran through this in our preview. I ran Depths of Moria because I was that guy. Eli was running Black Gate. Cory, what did you decide to run for the GT? And kind of like talk us through your thought process of what you were thinking with it.
I ran the Corsair fleets. I run them a lot and had played them a lot before the third book came out, which they were just horrendous. So I really wanted to give them a shot now that they got their crossbows and reavers back and stuff. So just maxed out the shooting, maxed out the warriors, 51 models, and I wasn't outnumbered in any game to start, at least. That's for sure.
That's yeah. 50 models, and I think like you had 20 crossbows. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah, 20 cross, 16 warriors and all 4 heroes. So that's 20 crossbows, and then
yeah.
14 warriors with throwing daggers. So there's a lot of shooting into combat, which played big into how I did.
For the most of the weekend, I tried not to think about like who I was going to play, like because it's usually wasted energy for me if I try to think ahead of time. It's like waste. But I was constantly thinking like, please don't play Cory. I really don't want to get shot off the board, like with deaths.
Yeah, it was real hit or miss, like, literally how it goes with shooting. But
Yeah.
some games it did well.
And I see you included Corsair Reavers, and those are the guys that have to take the intelligence check, right? Or
Yeah.
inflict a wound and charge, right?
Yeah, they punch their friend and then they can charge in and get some bonuses and stuff.
How'd that
But
work for you?
that wasn't really a big detriment. I had two bosuns, so they were usually kept in check unless I purposely left took the bosun out of play because they're still fearless, right? So they're not horrible to leave behind in areas and then stuff. But honestly, I know some people think the Reavers might not be worth taking, but they were pretty huge when you come up against terror and monsters, and just having guys who are fearless, who you throw into combat, and then have 20 guys shooting into combat with that monster on one dude, it distracts the big toys pretty good.
That's pretty clutch. Yeah, that's really clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very yeah. It's a scary list, and I love one of my favorite things, which I'm ashamed that I didn't do it, but I love underrated lists. And so
Yeah, me too.
the best part was like nobody saw Corsairs, and yeah, it was pretty awesome to watch you throughout the weekend. It was pretty
Yeah,
fun.
I was trying to bring them some glory because they've been shit on pretty good. So
Yeah, yeah. And then Eli, obviously we've done a breakdown on your list, but we might as well start like going through a quick little breakdown of the how we played 6 games. Let's start round one. Your Black Gate. What were you versus? What was the scenario? Because it was also veto, so we had pool the object scenarios first, I believe. And what did you veto? What was your thought process? What were you facing?
I was facing against Riders of Theoden list with Eomer, Theoden, and Elfhelm, the throwing weapon guy.
Mhm.
And I can't remember exactly what I vetoed, but we ended up playing Retrieval,
Mm.
um, which I was a little worried about with like he was so mobile, and so I kind of just marched into his face onto the objective. And I felt bad for him because his heroes couldn't roll
Mm.
anything to save their lives. So he'd get in fights, he'd throw Airmere into a good fight, and then he'd flub the rolls. And so uh, he sent a warband around to go after my objective, and I had a shaman and three orc Morannons outfight Elfhelm and his warband. So it was kind of just he played it as best as he could, but his Rohan dice betrayed him. Maybe he needs to reorder Baron of Dice.
New dice. That's especially scary in my mind too, because they're also expert rider, and retrieval is not one you have to dismount to get up. You can
Yes.
just swoop it up and run with it. So yeah, I'd be scared of that matchup too. What a bummer. But obviously, I'm assuming you're really downplaying your own play style, and you did really well. What was the final score?
What was the final score? I think it was a major victory, 12-0.
Ah,
So,
nice.
the terrain helped. It was a cool dwarven board with a lot of interiors, but for Riders of Rohan, I mean, they could get in some of them, but it really channeled everyone to the center. So I was able to just toss all my orcs there and force them a long way around. So it
Nice.
was a good game.
Nice. I'll transition really quick into my game. I we vetoed. I can't remember what I vetoed and he vetoed, but I was playing Amin, who is playing Return of the King. He's a very good player. I believe he won best newcomer this year on the league. Like kind of like how you did last year, Eli. Just kind of ran away with it. But he's playing Return of the King, and I played his Return of the King before. He's very good with it. So I was a little worried because he's got the King of the Dead plus Aragorn. It's kind of a Belrog killer. But we vetoed down to seize the prizes. So that's the one we ended up playing. I was like, okay, well, he's kind of like really small group because I think he had Legolas too. So he only had like 22 models or something like that. It was a very low model count army. So I was like, well, maybe I can grab two objects and kind of fight for his other one. But he is so fast that he ran forward, grabbed the middle one, ran to my left, stole that one from me, and then there was a piece of woods between the left one and my Balrog. And I had a choice of either trying to pursue towards him around the woods or play defense with the Balrog and run backwards towards my left-hand side to try to prevent these guys from running off. And I ended up doing that. He ran one guy off because of those 12-inch moving cav, but I was because he only had one. The other guy didn't have quite the movement to get off, and so my Balrog cut him off just before he did. And then it was a funny sequence of like the next 10 turns of this because he was down to only a couple models. My goblins, the prowlers, by the way, were huge. Loved the including of the prowlers because charge in, trap, +2 to wound. Like dead guys were deleting. They killed the King of the Dead just by trapping prowlers. But he only had a few models left. It was Aragorn, Legolas, his banner, and then this Warrior of the Dead with the object. So the next 10 turns, it was the Warrior of the Dead running away, Balrog trying to lash him, miss, 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 hit him, whipped him to the other side of him towards my goblins, lost the combat, lost priority, started running towards my board edge again, trying to whip him, miss, miss, miss. And then on the last turn, finally hitting him, dragging him in, killing him, and taking the prize back. But it was a very narrow victory for me. I only won that one 11-6, but it was very well played by Amin. But very fun game. It was kind of comical that the Belrogs just kept missing his whips. What about you, Cory?
My first game was against Sarah. She was playing the three trolls, and it wasn't a very fortunate matchup for her. I felt kind of bad. We vetoed in to seize the prizes, so there's three prizes, three trolls against 51 pirates. There's a lot coming at her there. So she kind of sent two towards the middle, one towards one of the sides there. Uh, Sneezy Troll, whatever his name is, the D6 one, I took him down to one wound before they even got to the prizes there. And then I was sending guys up just to engage them so they couldn't grab the prizes. So it actually took a lot longer to kill that troll once he had one wound than it should have. Also, before I got up there, I didn't really think about her potentially throwing a rock. And so the one cheeky victory point she got off me was the leader troll threw a rock at my leader, used a might to make it hit, but caused a wound. And I was like, well, I didn't see that coming. So I was hoping that wouldn't bite me. But no, it kind of went how you'd figure. I kept throwing guys in. Everything shoots into combat. I kill my own guys. Picked up both objectives on the side, ran them off. And then I actually continuously failed to pick up the center one the whole game. And I think that's actually where
Wow.
the only victory points I failed to get. So that was kind of surprising. That's like 8 intelligence tests just failed in a row.
Wow.
My gosh.
What's your
Yeah.
best intelligence check in the Corsairs fleet?
6 would be the heroes, but I'd sent the heroes were all off on the sides and my leader was hiding. So it was just this one Corsair with a throwing dagger over again. And he just couldn't seem to find it there. But no, it was a good game, and she was a good sport about it. I felt bad. Just she was basically at the whim if I killed whatever she was fighting, and then if I didn't, she'd barge, try and get something else, tried to chase down one of my guys getting away. So she tried her best. It's about all she could do, but I think I ended up with a 16-1 victory, and yeah, ended up being pretty one-sided there. She almost broke me. A large portion of the amount of guys I killed on my own team just shooting into combat, but I was only a couple off breaking by the end. But it was
That's
a good
pretty
game.
funny. But I can see that being demoralizing. It's like, I got a troll. I get charged. I can't move it. Okay, that's okay. I'll get a kill. Oh, he killed himself, so I can't barge, and now he's just shooting into me free. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was a little unfortunate there, so
Yeah.
felt a little bad, but no, she was good about it, and we had a fun game.
Nice job. Well played. Max, while all these games were going on as the TO, what was your observations? Any cool highlights that you want to point out in round one that you saw?
Round one is always fun because we have that's the one I can tinker with the matchups to make sure no one's playing locals. And so the way it worked out was it was all the Americans and anybody from Vancouver Island playing the rest of Canada. So that was kind of a cool matchup just right out the gate. And then as results started to come in, the cool thing that Longshanks has added is you can put in the scenario that was played, which is great for systems like Clash where we do the veto. And so it's pretty even for round one between the scenarios, except Treasure Hoard, where it was like 11 for retrieval, 11 destroy the spies, 9 seize the prize, and then only 4 tables played Treasure Hoard. That was
Oh,
also
interesting.
interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah, I've had the feeling that it's more about like comfort. Like maybe it's just how the 50-50s roll too, but I feel like a lot of people like playing scenarios they know, like, oh yeah, see surprises. I know how this one's supposed to work. That kind of thing. Whereas Treasure Hoard can feel a little bit different in that it's a new scenario. At least that was for me.
Hmm.
It's like usually if I didn't really care, I would just veto the one that I didn't know super well because I figured it might come into play. So very interesting.
So I also think Treasure Hoard is fairly kind of draw
Mm.
skewed because there's 3 objectives on either side close to you, and so it really you usually you get your own 3, and so it's really about either sneaking someone over or pulling off a cheeky play to get one of the other objectives. So I feel like it can kind of skew towards ties, and a lot of
Yeah.
people might want big victories.
Mm. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good point.
I don't dislike the scenario, but I hate the setup with the half circle. I played it with my army and getting the 51 models just they're all crammed in for two turns. You like miss out on shooting you should have. So I think that got it kicked out due to the roll. So that's probably a little luckier it went that way.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. It's a weird scenario that you're very, very centralized, and then your goal is to spread out and make it across the board. So it makes for long games. And like Eli's point, it's either going to be a tie or a minor win, not a big win. So I can see that. Good point.
So
So
wins for
on
all you
to
guys in round one. Great job, guys.
Yep, 3 wins. This is good. This is good.
Good
Three
start.
wins. We'll see when it falls apart. No, I'm just kidding. Going on to round two, uh, we were playing. We'll start off with Eli this time. What was the pool? It was a
Oh,
maelstrom.
I started off the first time. If you want someone else to start,
All right, fine. Cory, kick us
All
off.
right, I'll start off. Forget what the pool's called. We vetoed into command the battlefield. So what pool is that? I don't remember.
it's
Yeah,
Maelstrom.
maelstrom.
Yeah,
Maelstrom.
Maelstrom. Sorry, yeah, that's right. I was playing Connor, who brought Moria. He had Durbers, the Beast Caller, Cave Drake, some spiders and creepy crawlies, things like that. I won the roll off and I let him move on to the board first, the gentleman I am. So he, I think failed. I think he got 2 1s on 2 of his warbands, so half of it didn't show up, and then the 2 that did kind of showed up together in a corner. I had 4 warbands. I got 3 of them on. He placed one about 18 inches away, or maybe I placed that one. I was on the same board edge as where he started, but I was about 18 inches away, so I could get some crossbows in. That is Cave Drake and the Beast Caller warband that came on, and then my leader and one of the Bosun warbands all came in on another corner together with nothing to really do other than that they were together. So, in case anything happened the next round. Yeah, so the other ones came on. One of his warbands that came on the second turn, I placed behind those 2 that were doing nothing. That ended up being just a ring around the rosy around this bunch of trees the whole game, and took me a lot longer to clear 10 or 12 goblins, whatever was there, than there should have been. But that was a little good game of chase there. And anyways, it was a pretty tight game. He started off moving his cave drake and the spiders and whatnot at my one secluded warband alone there. I was trying to get to Durbers before the cave drake did, try and get some leader wounds, but he actually had at least 6 black shields in there, and the D6 actually really stood up. I wasn't getting the backstabbers on, so I wasn't killing much. So I started to dwindle in that corner there. My other warband that hadn't come on came the opposite side of the board. That was say east. They came in on the west, so they were kind of working towards trying to get some shots and just trying to get models onto that quarter, so he wouldn't hold the whole thing. Once he kind of annihilated that warband, the spiders and Durbers and them kind of toyed with that warband I was just talking about that came on late. and the Cave Drake kind of made a slow run across the board to where I had dominance, just trying to eliminate his one warband there. So it was a pretty close game. I don't overall, I don't think either of us broke. Um,
So you won it 8-4.
yes, I won 8-4, and I think I was the only one that held one corner uncontested, so that got me a couple bigger points, and then I had two, and then he had one, I believe. I don't remember what got me to the 8-4 score, but it was a pretty close game. I didn't even touch the Cave Drake all game, really. It just ran across the board and tried to threaten things. But 5-inch goblins, they can't move away from 6-inch throwing daggers too well, and things were getting whittled down and ended up outnumbering on corners that mattered. And no, we had a good game. He was a really good opponent. Hadn't met him before, but it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And yeah, they were people who are playing this list were pointing out to me now that the Drake get has the beast keyword, so you can do the enraged beast. So it's a fight 9, like
Yeah.
crazy strength 9, crazy monstrous charge. Yeah, that seems really scary. So well played, nice job. And 8-4
Thank
still
you.
is a major victory because it's
Yep,
double with at least 6.
just barely. I didn't realize it at the time. I think Max corrected my score, but yeah, it worked out good.
Nice, well done. My game two, it was Maelstrom. We also vetoed down to Command the Battlefield. I was playing Pat, uh, uh, who is down in Arizona, and I played him before. Been around him many times. Great guy. He was also playing Return of the King, so it's back to back Return of the Kings, Aragorn, King of the
Oh,
Dead.
I
But
didn't
this
even
time it's
realize that. Brutal.
yeah, yeah, it's back to back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, everything kills a Balrog around here. Uh, and he instead of Legolas, he had a Herald. So that's what I think is the ideal way to run that army in my head. I've never played it, but that's to me the scariest when you give the King of the Dead an extra 3 might plus another like attacking courage strength 4 model to attacks. Like that seems pretty good to me. But we played Maelstrom. I lost the priority roll, so I moved on first. My Balrog failed to come on turn 1, which I'm like, oh, great. And then he forced one of my captains to the one corner of the war of the battlefield, and then I was able to choose another captain to come on kind of close to it on the board edge, but kind of like meet in a corner kind of an area. I was like, okay, well, I have a spot for the Balrog. Hopefully, I roll well next turn. And then he came on with Aragorn and the King of the Dead and the Herald all right in front of my army. And I was like, well, if the Balrog doesn't come on soon, this could get ugly pretty fast. Um, Luckily, turn 2, I think I moved first. Balrog did come on, missed his whip, but he was able to get into combat after on turn 3, start hero combating. I thought I was doing a really good job of preventing both Aragorn and the King of the Dead being able to fight the Balrog at the same time. And I was starting to slowly chip away at his Warriors of the Dead. He spread out a few warriors across the board. I started sending my goblins as fast as they could move with their little legs. But he was running out of bodies. There came a point where he only had like 5 models versus most of my army in this corner. And yet he was still able, it was masterfully played by him. He was still able to body out all my goblins and get the Aragorn and the King of the Dead into the Balrog. I was like, oh no, this is it. This is how I go down. And he decided to strike, which he's like, I know it's a bad idea, but I'm going for it. I'm like, totally understand. And plus, like, I could whiff on my Balrog roll. He rolled a 3 high, so he didn't strike up high enough, and then my Balrog rolled a 6, so I didn't have to sweat it. But like I got bailed out a little bit there, and I was like really worried. But it's still 6s for the King of the Dead to wound, but 4s for Aragorn. And I don't think I would have been broken anyways. But it was still like some risk that I wasn't comfortable with, especially with me like focusing, and it still like didn't prevent it from happening. But I ended up winning that one 15-4.
Did you have enough? It sounds like you had enough turns to get all your goblins into and contest the other quadrants.
I didn't contest the far corner, but I contested. I got all 3. I got 3 quadrants. He had one guy alive in one, so I contested that one. And I don't think he got a guy in the other one. So yeah, I had 2. He had obviously one guy in the corner still. So 2 contested, 1 complete to me. I broke him without breaking. I killed Aragorn. And that was pretty much it. How about you, Eli?
I remember what I vetoed. I played Breaking of the Fellowship. So it
Ooh.
was Aragorn, Boromir, Legolas, um, two of the hobbits. So I think Frodo, Sam, and then Haldir with a number of elves. And I got rid of Hold Ground, and I think he got rid of Command the Battlefield because I outnumbered him like 2-1. And so we ended up playing Sites of Power. And I got a little bit lucky in that I gave him priority, but then I also rolled terribly on all my Maelstrom rolls, and so only one warband came in, and his warband, he placed both of his warbands in the corner near one objective, and so the mouth came on just in a way where I could be out of 12 inches from Legolas. It was Sites of Power has
the Dark of Night.
The Dark of Night.
Yes.
So, which I was very thankful for.
Yes.
So I kind of tried to engage and kill his elves before his heroes could like rush to the other corner and fight me. But then I very quickly realized how quickly his heroes cut through my Morannons. And I got a little worried. And I basically played keep away. I used all my orcs to just body and keep him in the corner while my heroes bravely captured the objectives. And so he managed to break me, and I cheekily managed to contest his objective with like my one orc that stayed alive and made his courage checks. So I contested one of his objectives. He broke me, and then I had the 3 other objectives. So I felt like I squeaked out a minor win there because he was slaughtering my orcs.
Yeah, tough matchup. I did see the end of this because I think you were playing really close to me, but I was looking at it and it was Troll Chieftain on one site, Mouth on the other site, your Shaman on the other site with Fury on, and then like maybe one orc versus his whole entire army. It was quite epic.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would have been a little worried if I was fighting him straight up. He's got
well played.
Quite a bit of beat stick heroes.
Well played.
Did that one go to time, or was it a natural end?
That was a natural end because I think Sites of Power ends at quartering.
Okay.
Nice. Hey, all of us are 2-0 so far. This is looking good. I like it. Any highlights, Max, that you want to point out from round 2?
Yeah, I watched Cory's game very closely because it was the closest to the front of the room, and that one was just like chaotic chase around the table, as Cory was saying. Yeah. The breakdown, I didn't see too much else this one, but like round 2 is when, if anybody with big wins in round 1 is now maybe a little out of their depth if they got a lucky win. So that's always kind of fun. And then a scenario breakdown for this one was 14 people played Command the Battlefield, 7 played Hold Ground, 10 played Sites of Power, and surprise, surprise, only 5 people played Heirlooms.
I really wanted to play Heirlooms. I haven't played it still, but they got beat up.
It was a roll off.
I just know right off the bat when it was time to veto, because I think I also had to veto first. I was like, veto Heirlooms. Like I still don't trust it. Like it looks like a fun scenario now, but I still just don't trust it. And I will point out this: Joey had played great, but he was playing against Jake. And they played Heirlooms, and well played by Joey. But this is kind of like the problem I have with the scenario. He grabbed the heirloom, and then they were playing on that dwarf ruin board. He ran into a building and then ran up all the towers and had just Army of the Dead on all the staircases inside this dwarf hold. And Jake had to dismount his Witch King on Fellbeast and then just like run into the building and just do whatever he can. And kudos to Jake. He pulled out the draw. He killed Aragorn and broke the Army of the Dead. But Joey was still at the top of this tower holding the relic. But it looked like an interesting game. Like everybody kept checking into this game because it just looked like so intense. But it looked like a fun. So well played by both people. But that's also kind of the problem I have with Heirlooms. It just turns into one of those games.
Well, so the funny thing about Heirlooms is, and I completely forgot about it now, but the way it works for Heirlooms is you're supposed to have like 6 identical markers with one of them that has like an indicator on the bottom. I completely forgot about that. And so I had to go to the 2 of the tables that were doing Heirlooms and they were using 25 millimeter bases as their objectives, I had the players look away, and I slid a little marker underneath the actual heirloom one on their tables, so it was totally fair and not random.
That's awesome. Very, very fun. So we were all feeling pretty good about ourselves, but we were all like this ominous little tone as the day was going on because we all knew we're playing 4 games today, and it's just going to get
Mhm.
rough. So on to round 3. I'll start it off since I haven't led off yet. Round 3, I was playing Nick Clacton. This game was one of my toughest games of the weekend because he was playing the Shadows of Angmar, and he had Gullivar and 3 Barrow-wights. And I'm like, you know what's better than, not risking the 50-50 as the Balrog doesn't even roll. He's just paralyzed on the ground and Gullivar just kind of goes in. So I was like really, really worried about that. We were playing the unique scenarios and we vetoed into Fog of War. So right off the bat, typical deployment. Nick and I always have great games, very, very competitive, very fun games. Uh, but my main objective in this game was because every time I start the game, I'm like, how do I keep the Balrog from just being killed? I'm like, okay, don't overextend him. No matter what, do not overextend him. And then what does Nick do? He sends a Barrow-wight all by himself, which is my target, out on the corner to where the Balrog, if he wanted to, could run 8 inches forward and just be in range for a lash, but he would be really extended. And what do? I fall for it. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to take it. So I run 8 inches forward, miss the lash. I'm like, that's okay. I'll try to run him down. I'll try to shrug off some paralyzes. He barely gets the next turn, doubles back with a Barrow-wight, throws a 6. Balrog fails to resist, gets paralyzed. He isn't able to get Gullivar into him at that time, but he's now 1 turn away. He is able to get because I think I was in combat with a werewolf. Werewolf does 2 wounds to the Balrog. And I'm like, oh boy, okay. So please wake up. And now my goblins are like running their asses off trying to help wake the Balrog up as fast as they can. Second turn, so end of that turn, Balrog doesn't wake up. Second turn, Gullivar dives in. And we were talking about it this game. I think this was because Nick played beautifully. This was his only mistake of the whole weekend because he wasn't able to pass enough courage to get a lot of other guys in. Just basically Gullivar every turn, but Gullivar did pass every courage test to charge. He did not heroic strength, which does sound like a wasted point of might because it only changes wounding on 5s to wounding on 4s with 10 dice. But that was my biggest fear. So when he didn't heroic strength, I was like, okay, there's a chance. And sure enough,
Oh,
turn
Gullivar
one,
has heroic strength.
Gullivar has heroic strength. Yeah. So basically, he's rolling 10 dice, needing 5s to wound. But if he has heroic strength, it's 10 dice, needing 4s to wound. In my mind, that's a big deal. And so first turn, he does 1 wound, but he rolled like 5 4s. So he does 1 wound to the Balrog. End of that turn, I'm finally getting a goblin into the Balrog to try to help wake him up. Didn't wake him up. Turn 2, Gullivar does another like 5 wounds. He did really good on that one. I can't remember, but basically the Balrog ended on 3. He was at 3 wounds. So if he did 2 wounds with a werewolf, 1 wolf there, that leaves 7. So he did 4 wounds. Turn 2 with Gullivar. At the end of that turn, I finally had like 3 goblins plus the Balrog, rolled the 6. He woke up, won the priority and move, charged back into Gullivar, won the fight, killed Gullivar. And I wasn't able to get. That was the other thing. So early turns, my goblins were just losing fights straight up to just wargs. And I was telling Nick, I'm like, I'm okay with this. This is fine as long as I get the late game. Because everybody knows early game doesn't really matter, but late game's where it really matters. And sure enough, it did flip. So like he won the early games with his wargs, and then when I was like 3 versus 1 with a trap, he would win, kill a goblin. And then late game, it's 1v1. I'd win a fight, kill a warg. Win a fight, kill a warg. So I ended up breaking him. I figured out what his objective was. I got onto my objective. He was able to contest my objective with a warg, but I was able to deny his, kill Gullivar, and just break him. But I also broke because he did 7 wounds to the Balrog. So that was pretty fortuitous. So I ended up winning that one. What was the final score on that one? It was very close, 11-7. So it was a very tight
Right.
game. And I told Nick, had he just heroic strength once with the Gullivar, I would have easily lost because Belrog wouldn't be able to wake up. I'd be dead. You put an extra 3 wounds on it just with heroic strength alone. That would have been it. But it was a very fun game, very close game. And I feel like it was I learned a lot from that game. It's like I'm just gonna throw ridiculous amounts of will into trying to resist this because I'm tired of like not rolling the 6 and then like having my Belrog paralyzed. So I did learn a lot from that game, but I felt pretty fortuitous that he did not kill the Belrog. And that's how that went.
I'm glad to see Gullivar's back, but I'm not glad to see all the barrel rights with Paralyze. Eh,
Yeah.
it's a
Well,
rough
so a big
spell.
thing about Paralyzed, though, as a couple people learned this weekend, that it is now an exhaustion spell,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and using that one last point of will, it all goes away.
That
Um,
does help. So
so
it's basically they're still throwing. Usually, I found they were still throwing 2 dice on a 3+, and you just do that twice. The other thing, so yes, it's an exhaustion spell that helps. So if you kill the Barrow Wight, it goes away, or if they throw the last will, it goes away. The other thing that really changed to help paralyze is that you can still fight and then try to wake your buddy up now. It used to be you
mhm.
couldn't do anything else. You're just trying to wake up your buddy. So it was really hard to get extra bodies in. But I was really happy that I was able to get some goblins fighting, but also touching the Balrog to try to wake him up. All right, Corey, how did your
So I
game
go
three
next.
go?
All right, game three. So yeah, what pool was that? That was
Unique scenarios, pool
unique
6.
scenarios. Yeah. So um, my opponent vetoed. Oh, I was playing Rob. He had Fields of Celebrant.
Hmm.
It was Errol, uh, 18 Sons of whatever the max warband is. I think it's 18, and then just a King of Man on horse and a Captain of Rohan on horse. So pretty scary cavalry army. Wasn't sure what the best course to go was, but he won the he vetoed first. He vetoed Clash by Moonlight, I believe.
Mhm.
Which that could have gone both ways for him. I do a lot of damage up close once in the dark that way. And I vetoed lead from the front just because my whole army is heroes of fortitude, and that one's really dependent on the heroes, and they're all on horses. They could just late game come on to where it matters and score the points just last turn, right? So that led us to go into convergence. We were playing on kind of an awkward board for it. There was a Hobbit board, and literally you come in on the corners, right? And every corner, three of them had a Hobbit hole, basically right in front, 4 inches out of the corner, and then the other one had a big forest. So literally all the spots you come on are behind these. And ahead of time, we just decided these Hobbit hills were going to be impassable terrain because they were quite sloped and we weren't going to deal with the riders trying to stand on them and things like that. So that's fine. But it made it pretty awkward to set up. So, like I said, his whole army was basically one warband. So he had all the sons and I think the King of Man. They came in on one corner, and then it was just a Captain of Rohan coming in by himself in the other one. My army's all basically 12 warrior warbands, so they were split equally. So yeah, we came on. It wasn't the best. Like this one may have been a good one to veto because of all the expert rider. He can just go around and pick up the objectives without having to stop. But I don't know. Like I said, I was more scared of lead from the front, so this is where we ended up. Anyways, we moved on. He of course managed to get to every object. Oh, that's a lie. He got to three of them first on the one corner board. I got to one of them where my leader captain was situated. He chose to send about 2/3 of his force towards where my leader and the other warband were coming on, and my other two warbands basically just had to deal with maybe 6 sons he sent that way. So it was a pretty tight game. My shooting, this is probably the worst game I had all tournament for shooting. I think I
Mhm.
killed a horse. I
Oh,
don't I did not kill much. Like it
yeah.
was pretty bad. So he came at me with full numbers. We'll call it on the bottom side where my leader was. But surprisingly, for about 3 turns, I was winning majority of the combats, and somehow because they're D6, all the sons, I was actually getting kills. So it was kind of
Wow.
going really. not as expected there for a while. I was holding up kind of in the middle area where 1.5 warbands went, and then my leader was hiding with like 6 crossbowmen and a couple dudes near the bottom, so he sent a couple guys that way. And yeah, just went back and forth. He slowly was whittling down that area. I kind of eliminated everyone who was left on the top where I had 2 full warbands, and I stole the one object there. So I was in control of one. He had 3. Um, he managed to break through that bottom area, sent the king of men there on horse lance right into my leader, and I held off as long as I could down there. Unfortunately, I did break him there down below because, like I said, somehow I managed to kill a ton of things in combat against D6. I wasn't getting too many traps off even, but Reavers put in work. Those 2 attack models, spear behind them, 3 attacks. Even when they did charge, I managed to win a fair amount of them. But yeah, so he actually broke down below there, or maybe with a half hour to go or somewhat. Right about that same time, he killed my leader, and then he was just working to get all 3 of his objects to the center because that's where he scored points, obviously.
Mm.
And it was near the end of the game there, and was really close. Like I was saying, he had more majority of the objects, but I wasn't broken yet, whereas he was. So we had one turn where he had fast courage, but he had a couple heroes, so it wasn't a big deal. But um, last turn got called there, and we were just wrapping up our turn. He needed one more kill to break me, and didn't get that kill, so I wasn't broken yet. But yeah, unfortunately, the game ended at the timeout, and it could have swung both ways. I believe he won 12-6, so it was a major victory for him, but
Mm.
he had all 3 objective holders lined up in a direct row, so they were line of sight blocking each other, all within 6, and I had my one about 6.5 inches away, so he wasn't even into the center yet, unfortunately. Like I
Mm.
said, I didn't end up breaking. Who knows what would have happened to one more turn, but that's how it goes sometimes. I had a bunch of crossbows staring down those guys holding the objects, so that's how it ended up. But it was a good game. He was a good opponent. Like you said, he
Rob
he won
is
the Masters the day before. He played it well.
Rob is the one who won the Masters, so a very tough
Yeah,
Yep.
opponent.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think he was
That
very surprised how many of his guys were going down as well. It should not have happened, but like I said, it made up for my lack of shooting to literally nothing that game.
Yeah, because I was gonna say if you tell me I have 18 sons, all cav army versus 20 Corsair crossbows, and then you tell me, yeah, I lost a lot of sons, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. It was like, actually, I didn't get any shooting kills. It was all in combat. That's the surprising thing. So you had the right result, just not where you expected it, I thought.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I killed one son, but yeah, it was not anywhere near what it should have done for shooting. But no, it was a fun
that is
game.
not the
And
shooting you want to whiff.
Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah. You're like, no, this is the problem I have with shooting. Yeah, no, Rob obviously he won the Masters, but he ran right over me. Same thing, shot me off the board. So like, yeah, I feel for it. I know exactly.
It's a shame he didn't get a taste of his own medicine there.
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
well.
thanks, Cory. Thanks, Cory. I would have loved
Next time, next time.
it. All right, Eli, what do you got?
I played Dario using a very similar list to the list I played before, but Road to Rivendell instead of Breaking of the Fellowship. So it's got Strider, Bill the Pony, Arwen and Frodo on horse, the Gatekeeper of Bree,
Oh yeah.
and then a warband with Gildor and some Noldorian exiles. So they're the Move 8 Wood Elves. And we also played Convergence, which I was feeling good. I was like, it split his army up. This is great. And then, what was it, turn 2 or turn 3? I looked down, and Strider gets a march every turn.
Mm-hmm.
And
The fast army.
he had every single objective. And I was like, oh no, what's going to happen? But I had a couple clutch temptations. Bill the Pony had picked up one. And so I got him to run off into some orc clutches. And on that exact same turn, Arwen and one of the elves he had carrying the objectives got transfixed. Because it's the at the beginning of every priority, you have to roll for each of the heirlooms you pick up.
Yeah.
And Arwen and the elf getting transfixed let me catch up, and I got within charging distance the next turn. And once I got into combat, it kind of spiraled from there. He committed with Arwen and Ratha ruined my whole army, except for the Troll Chieftain, who was able to get into a good position and heroic combat and squash Arwen. And from that point, I kind of had too many bodies on him, and my Morannons just chewed through all the elves.
Nice.
And I had all the objectives in the very center. I didn't manage to kill Aragorn at the end, though. He was winning the Elven Blades off and trying to smack my Troll Chieftain, but he doesn't have Andrul in that one.
Oh, right. So it's hard for him to wound.
Yep, hard for him to wound.
I did not know Bill could carry an object, though. That is interesting.
He might be a beast. He probably can't actually carry an object.
I didn't know. I have no idea. I've never played against that, so I have no idea.
He might not be able to, but
it seemed like it worked out in your favor because he had it, and you're like, "Oh no!" And then you tempted him, and he's like, "Oh yes."
I like these lists, these hero fellowship lists. Like you can bolt on the people they meet along the way. Like, just throw in those elves. Just throw in the elves of Lorien. I kind of like that a lot.
It looked like a really fun list to play.
Yeah,
a lot of different profiles. Looked very fun.
I've played Dario's Road to Rivendell and Convergence as well, and that was my first time playing against them, and it blew me away how fast they were. Arwen just 12-inch moves too, picking up all the heirlooms. I was like, wow, my orcs aren't catching up to that.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm sad to report Bill does have the beast keyword.
Ooh, Dario, I owe you a beer.
Oh no.
He does have the keyword.
Yeah. So he shouldn't be able to pick up the objective.
Yes.
To be fair, he's a pony with bags, so someone else
he's a pack pony
and put it on the pack
on Bill.
There you go. So. It all works out. It all worked out. Any highlights from this round, Max? Round 3.
Yes, I did actually. So I was watching a couple of people's games very closely. Amin and Ian were having a very, very close game. And Amin pulled it out 8-6, and I knew that was a big win for him. And then Ian Kant was playing against Charles and probably had one of his best games I've seen with his Dale gun line, because Ian Kant is running the 2 Dalish Twin Lances, which he really loves, and if you give him the chance, he'll run 3 of them.
Oh no!
And it's pretty brutal. But like he was getting great shots off, and it looked like a great game there too, where he got it 13-5.
Nice, very fun. Yeah, don't be telling Cory about these Dale guys. He might actually start playing a good army.
I may have bumped into Ian at some point. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yes,
okay.
We'll touch on that.
Oh,
and then for anybody that cares about the stats, Fog of War, 14 tables played it. Convergence, 6 people played it. Clash by Moonlight with 7, and Lead from the Front with 7. So pretty even across the board.
Yeah, not bad. Very fun. That's amazing. So we're all feeling the fatigue after 3 rounds, and now we got.
This is usually where it's over. This is people are usually done at this point.
We're usually off to the pub after this, off to get a couple of drinks. But no, we have to play another round, and it's round 4. Now Eli gets to kick us off as started over again.
All right. This was an odd one. We played. What was this? This was Breakthrough. We played Breakthrough, and I played against Tristan's Host of the Witch King. So like the Witch King, Aldrak, and a Barrow White. Very mean looking list. And I think the fatigue definitely played into this one in our game. It was a really close game. But when we paralyzed the mouth, who's on horse, we didn't resolve it because he's supposed to go prone. And then, so we played a whole turn with him still mounted. And so I got to get a number of models like into his base. And then when he became unparalyzed, we're like, oh, we should have done it this way. And we also didn't really, we we didn't read the victory points for breakthrough at the very end. And so that was I thought there was double banner victory points for that one. And at a certain point, Tristan he was just rolling over my army. He got the Mordor Troll Chieftain. We kind of just both deployed in each other's faces. And turn one, he threw just a bunch of magic into the Troll Chieftain and pulled off all of my might and my fate and 2 fate off the not fate, will off the mouth. I just couldn't make resist rolls, so I was having to spend might to keep my my stuff active, and so I got a 1 turn charge with my Mordor Troll Chieftain. I got a hurl. I won the combat. I got a hurl, and then failed the intelligence roll with double ones to throw something at the Witch King. And that's about the whole thing, everything my Troll Chieftain managed to do, because next turn he got paralyzed and Aldrak mighty blowed, rolled 2 wounds, and I failed both my fates and killed me.
Oh.
So that was
Aldrak is nasty.
It was very nasty. And that Witch King Aldrak combo is brutal.
And then to add insult.
Combats.
Yeah, and then to add insult to injury, I was going to say is now he's killed your chieftain, now calling a free combat after being a warlord. It's like, no. Yeah, it's a scary combo because the Witch King also had a Morgul Blade. So it's Morgul Blade, Alderac, double barrel whites. You're like, oh my gosh. And for me, as someone who's playing a Balrog, is like, is there anything at this event that doesn't kill a Balrog?
Yeah, it was. He didn't even need the Morgul Blade. He just needed Aldrak's mighty blow.
Alderac, just flexing. He did a couple of extra push-ups that day. Very fun. So, but what was the final score? What did it end up being?
So that night, we thought he won a minor victory. I thought it was 9-8. But the whole night went away. I slept peacefully. Apparently, poor Tristan was racked with guilt thinking about this scenario because he didn't actually wound the mouth. He didn't think he wounded the mouth. And so we came and talked about it, and we looked at our notes, and you get an extra victory point for wounding the second most valuable model in your army. And so I wounded Aldrak, and he was like, I don't think I wounded the mouth. And that actually brought it to a tie, 8-8. So Tristan was a super great sport about that.
Yeah, well done, Tristan.
I do think the fatigue brought into it. I don't, but I think we also should have. It's a reminder to read the victory points on the final turn, especially going into it.
And I've definitely suffered from this before. It sounds like little minor issues, small things, and you're like, oh, that's so easy. Like who could screw that up? For those who have played 4 like really competitive games in a day, they know with especially 2 more games the next day, like how just your brain does not work. I suffered from this at Adepticon this year. Like it just stupid things that you normally know, you just don't, and it happened. But thank you, Tristan. Seriously, great sport for correcting that. So nice job. Shout out to him. All right, Cory, what did you get for round 4 of the fatigue day?
It definitely was a fatigued feeling game. I paired up against Ian Kant, which Max was just talking about with his Army of Dale. So it was the evil shooting versus the good shooting. Yeah, those Esgaroth bows are pretty scary. Anyways, I vetoed capture and control, I believe, because I just hate that scenario. I don't know why. I hate that you flip it over and can forget it, and I've been screwed by it in the past. I think he vetoed domination, or maybe it was vice versa. Anyways, those two got vetoed. We rolled on to breakthrough. I was hoping for stake a claim because I've had good luck in that scenario, and especially against a shooting army, you might not charge up and get those points right away, and that's what you got to do, right? March, and get them. So, anyways, wasn't to be. It was breakthrough, which is okay. I'm fine with that. He had 2 wind lances. Not sure how many models, but probably 12 of Esgaroth bows or so, at least 2, quite a few of them. So I got to choose sides. I took the side that had this nice house plopped right in front of my objective, so I knew at least I could hide my leader and just guarding my objective basically the whole game. The Corsair captain's fearless, so I've had that benefit me in the past, where I just know even if I break, he's holding something important. So, anyways, that's where the game started. My captain basically hid out there. I tried to kind of march up and hide from the wind lances where I could. He got a couple shots off, taking a few guys. In the Battle of Bows, he, oh my God, outperformed me so bad. It was about maybe 2 or 3 turns in. I was pretty sure I was losing the game because he had killed so many models. Luckily, the two side objectives were kind of behind houses, so he had to start moving bows and wind lances to kind of keep them relevant. So I just tried to charge up to have some relevance on the objective so I can try and push him off when he finally did. Um, so we were pretty tied on the left side there. I had a bunch of reavers. I think he shot all 5 that were on that side. None of them made it to combat, but I believe somehow both bosuns ended up on that side. So I still had a couple more reavers from the other warband. Once we got into fighting range, his bows kind of started to move up as well because I was starting to finally eliminate half of them with my shooting. But it was pretty. I don't remember the kills exactly. He was up by quite a few. So I was just trying to get to those objectives in case I broke quickly. The left side there, I was just talking about. I ended up kind of coming around a house and field where he had all his bows stationed and kind of just surrounded him on both sides because most of his army decided to go to the right or through the middle. So I slowly took over that side. And then on the right side, we both had just captains as our next expensive model. So we were both trying to kill each other's captain. So mine was kind of hiding behind a house, making sure he didn't get shot by a wind lance. His was also behind a house up there, and everyone was just button heads there. So he actually had kind of this stone wall, maybe 8 inches from the objective. There's a house, a wall around it. He was just kind of guarding it like a battlement, and I was able to get a few guys over. He'd kill those guys over. We're just going back and forth, and he started dwindling me down and broke me. So things were going really well for him. I didn't think I had much of a shot there, but all of a sudden, his guys started getting close. One of my guys that was trying to break through that wall, he somehow got past and was out of charge range. So he was actually threatening the home objective. And then his captain ended up getting trapped against a wall, and they went back and forth for a few turns. But my captain and some friends trapped him. I was able to kill that one at least. Around that same time, he broke me though. So it was right around then. He was looking pretty good. He had Gearing in the middle, a bunch of dudes around him. Some were going to come for my home objective. Some were going for that right one. He kind of just left the left one because it was inevitable that was going to be mine. But unfortunately, I don't think he wasn't paying attention to where we were at on time, which goes both ways. It's burnt me before, but it burnt him this time. He called the heroic combat with Geary and a friend in there and decided to get them closer to my home objective and my leader, who ended up being left by himself. And there was 2 other bow guys kind of slowly making his way out, my leader there too. Couple minutes later, Max called last turn, and at that point they were kind of stuck in no man's land, whereas if they would have just moved to that right objective, they would have contested it, whereas I think I owned it without anyone touching it. So I was the only one in control there and got max victory points. But I don't know how I won that one. I probably shouldn't have, and that's how it goes sometimes. You get luck. But I ended up winning it 8-4, I believe. And I felt kind of bad because it was definitely fully within his control to get it. And like you said, it was a long day, make some silly mistakes. But no, I felt a little bad for Ian because he should have won that game. I know Max came by during that game and was like, "Whoa, Ian, you're having a good time here." He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah," getting all psyched already, kind of getting ahead of himself.
Not only was he like, yeah, he was totally ahead of himself, it was so funny because I'm like, Ian, the game, there's still a lot of game to get played, and yes. You guys brought the score up, and Cory had it 8-4, and I'm like, I told you.
The time, the time.
Yeah, but
It was
Ian,
also really funny because Ian and Corey are like very regulars at our game night, and so they've played a lot before. So it was kind of like the local SmackDown.
yeah,
Nice.
no, it was a lot of fun. Good versus evil shooting powerhouses, and Ian's always a fun opponent. We had a good game. We both had, I think, some mental lapses there, but it was a good way to end day four. It was a very low stress game, just having a good time. So no, it was good. But yeah, pulled out a big win there somehow, and I was happy to have it.
Nice. Nicely done. Yeah, the time it just takes, I don't know, reps, but it's hard to like, okay, we got 50 minutes left. Then you glance at the clock, it's like, oh, 20 minutes just went by. That felt like five, like, and then you look at the clock, you're like,
Yeah,
we're down to 15 minutes. Like, oh my gosh, where'd the time go? Like it just happens in these type, especially round four of a big event. But nicely done. Well played. Well played. So you ended day one. I should go back to Eli too, but you ended day one 3-1, right? With three major wins and one major loss. Is that correct?
Or
yes,
Corey.
yeah. I had
Yeah,
three
sorry,
major
Corey.
wins, one major loss.
Okay. And then Eli, you ended the day with three wins and a tie, technically. Is that correct?
Yeah, 3 wins, two major wins, a minor win, and a tie, a
Nice.
draw.
Yeah. Awesome. My last game was very thematic. I was playing against, I believe, is it pronounced Nav? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
Nav.
Nav. So it's Jin's brother, I believe, right? And he was playing Cause of Doom, which I was when I saw the list that I was playing, I was like, oh no, Durin's Bane versus Durin, but he did not bring Durin. So and it's like, okay, so he had a Dwarf King, he had a little bit of everything. It was a really cool looking army. Just exactly my cup of tea flavor. He had Dwarf Kings, he had Shield Bearers, he had the King's Champ, he had Vault Teams, he had Khazad Guard, he had Iron Guard, he had Rangers, he had Dwarf Warriors with shields, Dwarf Warriors with bows. He had a little bit of everything. And I think he was a high model count army too. I think he was like 40 models. He was way up there in the model count. And I can't remember which one I vetoed. I think I vetoed Capture and Control. Same thing as you, Corey. I just didn't want to have to worry about the tag and run
Mhm.
or in trying to make it back to it. I can't remember what he vetoed, but we ended up playing domination. So we placed objectives around the battlefield. And it was pretty evenly split. It wasn't like majorly one sided. Obviously, we had the one in the middle, one kind of on his side, one kind of on my side, and then another one like far on my side, one far on his side. And then we picked the sides. Obviously, it was pretty well balanced. So because he didn't really have much to threaten a Balrog, I was like, okay, this is the game where I'm going to throw the Balrog and just combat, kill two dwarves, kill 2 to 4 dwarves a turn, like try to do what I can. And yeah, I got a couple of really good first turns. He tried to loop around to play the long game to flank, but because of that, he didn't really have the bodies in the center. And I won a lot of fights with the goblins in that banner reroll. Got a couple of lucky kills early on. Rolled some sixes with 3 or 4 dice. You're gonna get a couple of sixes, and then after that, he didn't have the body, so I was able to break through, get some traps, and then once I started trapping dwarves with the goblins, a lot of things died pretty quickly. The Belrog was just right in front of the Dwarf King, and we were like doing a face off the whole game. I flamed the Dwarf King, and then he dropped and rolled. And then the Belrog was kind of bodied out a little bit, but eventually he did make his way to the King. And then all his vault shield, he had like 4 vault teams, and then those were pushing in hard, and that was just like a brick wall. Like I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything against this. But luckily, my captain and like a few goblins were winning the fights against them, but they just weren't killing. But at least they were holding up. And then eventually my Balrog did get into the king, kill the king, loop around behind the vault shields and started picking off all the vault spears. And then we were getting close to end. He was getting close to quarter because I was getting all the traps. And I was able to combat off the Balrog into his far objective. I controlled the middle objective. I had a lucky last turn that he failed 4 guys' courage test on one of my objectives, and they all ran away. And I had a lone goblin standing there all of a sudden. And I was like, oh, interesting. And so that he should have gotten that objective by doubling. He had 4 guys there, but it was unlucky for him to run away. But the final score ended up being 19-0. But it was a rough matchup for him, I feel like, and a good couple of first turns for me, and it was hard for him to come back from that. So that's how that ended up being. So all ended the day pretty lucky 4-0. Like I said, the round three one, I was still like reeling after that one. Like I barely pulled that one off, and I felt pretty fortunate after that one. So I was going into the social night looking for a couple of drinks. It was pretty fun.
And we were all there. Thank you to the Barons Manor pub for a
Yes.
very accommodating
Yeah,
evening.
thank you.
Yes.
That was incredible. The number of us we got out to that.
Yeah, like you said, there was over 50 people in that pub. We like took it over. And I had such a blast just bouncing from table to table, like just talking and catching up with everybody, figuring out like how'd you end up today, bouncing over to the other table, throw some shade over at the other people, and then like bounce back. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Do we know who
Oh,
closed
I
it
don't
down?
know who the last person was there. Mitchell, you were there later than I was.
Who was the last person to leave?
Yeah.
It was at least Ian.
That
I
doesn't
left
surprise me.
when there was Richard, Ian, Alex, and who else was there? The other Alex, I believe. Yeah, I can't remember, but Ian. Well, let's just say it's Ian. Ian was the last one there, and he was really enjoying himself, and Eli was enjoying himself too.
I'm always down to do shots.
Yes,
Oh,
If you win in the day, you have to win at night.
yes, it's true. Eli got me to do a shot, and then I started being a try hard, and I started being like, "No, I'm good after one," but maybe I should have. So going into day two, uh, we kind of knew a little bit ahead of time what our round matchups were, just because you kind of like look ahead and see what you're playing against. And Eli had been just telling me about this awful list he had just played with a Witch King with a Morgul Blade, an Alderac, a double Barrow White. And I'm like, man, I hope I don't have to play that. And what do I have for my round five matchup? It's that army. And I'm like, well, this is a Belrog killer if I've ever seen it. You have multiple ways of doing it. So my pre-game in my head was no matter what, like uh, depending on the scenario, but I just cannot give him the opportunity to get a Witch King and a Bear White near the Belrog or an Aladrac and a Bear White near the Belrog. Like I just got to trust on my goblins to win the game for me, and maybe the Belrog just stays behind the lines and just does lashes the whole game. And if he gets paralyzed, at least he's not threatened. Like that was my game plan going in, and we played the maneuvering scenarios, I believe, and I think I can't remember which one I vetoed, but we ended on reconnoiter. And I can't remember which one I vetoed or why. Probably had something to do with a banner, I'm assuming. If there's one of them that had a banner, because I knew it was going to be like a really tight game, and I didn't want it to come down to banner VPs or something like that. So, and I was feeling okay about recon. So we ended up getting recon. I was like, okay, so game plan for me setting up because it like I had to think about this game well before I knew what was going to happen because he's a very good counter to my army. And just seeing what Nick did with double Bear Whites and Gullivar, like I was not going to put myself in that risk again. So my game plan was, well, if I can run the Balrog up kind of center, so he thinks I'm going to play a traditional game with a Balrog, he can bring both Bear Whites in, and then they only have a 6-inch range. And then maybe if I can loop around because there was a piece of terrain that I knew he probably wasn't thinking the Balrog could get past, but it was only 2 inches tall, and the Balrog from the base to the top of his mane is 4 inches, so he just runs right over it because it's less than half his height. So I was like, okay, I think I can pretty sneakily get my Balrog off the table, and if as long as I shrug off just enough spells and surprise him and just bolt for the edge with the Balrog. I think that's my game plan. And then the goblins will just hold up. So we played kind of a traditional game where we moved on. No crazy rolls for getting on or anything like that. Nobody spent any might. And I just kind of did that. I kind of moved the Balrog up, waited for him to move first. Then I sprinted left with the Balrog. Tried to get a lash off. I did make a mistake. So I knew I was going to have, there was no way I could avoid all spells. But the first paralyze he threw at me, he got a 6. And it was after he had moved and I could still move. And I was able to get like 10 goblins around the Balrog. But then I was like greedy. I was like, well, if I shrug this off and the Balrog moves 8 inches further, that's like 2 less spells that I have to even worry about. So I did try to resist it, and I flubbed. I rolled 4 base will plus the resist dice, didn't get the 6. Balrog got paralyzed. I was like, okay, that's okay. swarmed him with like 10 goblins, got him up that turn. And then I learned this. This is the other thing I learned from Paralyzed. For whatever reason, I don't know why I've been playing this wrong. When you wake up from a Paralyzed, you're still prone. And he pointed that out to me. And I was like, I have been playing that wrong for sure because I've always just played it. You recover, you stand up. But it doesn't say you stand up. It just says you recover. So if you were prone before, you're still prone. And so I was very glad he pointed that out to me because I did not realize that. So because of that, he only moved 4 inches, missed the lash. But again, he brought another barrel white up. Still the first barrel white. The second barrel white was still out of position, out of range, just barely. Threw the paralyze. I resisted that one. He threw the Witch King as a transfix. I resisted that. Next turn, got the Balrog into a werewolf on the edge. He did not have another paralyze. I was just out of range because I won the move off. So he threw a transfix. I resisted that. Hero combated and then just sprinted for the board edge. And after that, there was no spellcaster in range. He wasn't able to throw another spell at the Balrog, even though he was just out of will with, he was no will left, but I threw everything I could to resist it. And because of that, I was able to run the Balrog off, which scores 10 there plus a hero, which is 13 victory points there. And then I
Wow.
basically just bodied off everything else. The goblins just killed orcs because I didn't really care about charging. I let him charge me, trying to get off the board. And goblins just banner rerolled, killed orcs. I ended up breaking him. The score was not very. It doesn't match how the game actually went. It was a very, very close game in my mind. It was like came down to like the Balrog shrugging off just enough spells, but the final score ended up being 16-1. But it was
Ooh.
not. That's the problem with Recon that a lot of people have
Yeah.
is like it gets way blown out of proportion, but which it was.
So like you said, we knew ahead of time what the scenario pool was going to be, and I wasn't overly looking forward to my foot slogging pirates doing the maneuvering scenarios. So about half hour before the game, I saw I was matched up against Depth Moria, so another Balrog. A couple scenarios I don't like against the Balrog, so I figured there's yeah, a couple where the Balrog really dominates things, but I just chose to storm the camp because if it gets to my camp, I can't win. It's a hero in the camp. It's
Mm-hmm.
10 models, whatever it is, and I just wasn't going to get pirates over to the other side. So I vetoed storm the camp. Luckily, he vetoed recon. Oh, my opponent was Ethan Deagle. Great
Mm-hmm.
guy. I've played him once or twice, and he's a good opponent. He vetoed recon, which I was kind of thankful for because it's not impossible to win recon, but you basically have to make sure the Balrog doesn't get off, and you need to make sure your guys get on right away. March, just keep moving. So it's hard to win that one. So we rolled into divide and conquer, which also isn't ideal because Balrog gets to that center objective. You get points for leader. He outnumbers probably being Dom. What is he dead? Dom 10?
Yeah, Dom 10.
Yeah, he's Dom 10. Anyways, that's what we rolled into. So he just had two captain warbands, assortment of goblins, prowlers, shields, couple bows, and then Balrog and some more goblins. Um, Once again, you come in on the corners. So he had Balrog and a captain warband, just one captain in the other corner. I'm not sure if I actually broke down what my army was, but I had the leader captain, chose to not take Dalamir, a regular captain, and then two bow sons, each with 4 and 5 reavers, crossbows spread throughout, and then the captain warbands all have the throwing daggers and crossbows with them. So they were split evenly. The game started off. He marched up with the Balrog's area. Everyone was in range of the march, so they all moved as much as they could. My captain and bosun that were parallel on that side, they also marched up. Bows are pretty irrelevant. We were playing on a Minas Tirith type board. There was a lot of things blocked off, so just moved everything up as much as possible. His one goblin warband by itself, kind of there was a alleyway between two buildings. He was making way for that. So we just spent a couple turns kind of moving up. His goblins, I held some crossbows back that had range. After the first turn, he moved into the alleyway. They couldn't see. So I moved those crossbows up, move up some other crossbows so they have line of sight. He kind of played hide and seek on that corner for a bit as the further corner that had two warbands. One whole warband kind of slowly made its way there, and then six crossbowmen and another captain, or I think it was my leader, kind of tried to trap them over there. So they kind of did their whole game, the whole time there, just going back and forth. But anyways, Balrog and friends come up on the left side. I'm just coming up under on the left side. We kind of meet at that left position, and the benefit to having 51 models and then playing Moria, who has 40 something models, there's almost 100 models on the board, right? So it gets pretty clustered pretty damn quick over there.
Mm.
And like I said, the Reavers were actually pretty big this tournament. This is my second game against Moria. It wasn't as big in the first one, but just having that fearless, one dude goes into the Balrog if I have priority, ties him up. Obviously, he can hero combat, but you got 8 daggers throwing in, a bunch of crossbows. More often than not, you just kill that dude, and the Balrog is kind of left there with his thumb up his ass, wondering what to do, right? So,
And it's even better now because he's a large target. So you don't even, he can be anywhere on the board, like with just in the way of the combat because he's a large target. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm not sure in this battle I had so many into combat kills that kept making him irrelevant, but there was just so many of his models, and then my models also engaged. And when I had priority, we do his first, and even if he heroic combats, he's not really going anywhere. He's going into one more model. So they were all kind of stuck on that left side, whereas my other two warbands, they started coming in on the far side. The one helped surround those goblins at the bottom. The whole other warband took over the right side. Another 10 models went into the middle and just kind of walled them off there and made sure I kind of owned the middle. So it was a good game. We just kept going back and forth trying to own the left side there. I slowly annihilated the bottom right. The rest of the guys came up to just kind of body block and reinforce the middle. Yeah, that game went to time as well. We didn't get a natural end, but it was a lot of fun. What was my score there? I ended up winning 11-6 for the minor victory. So I held the center uncontested. I was able to get my leader up in the middle. He tried to get the Balrog as close as he could last turn. He finally bridged kind of a gap, could barge some guys out of the way, make it through, but he would have needed another turn and another barge, I think, to even get in there, and it wasn't on the table. But it was a fun game, and it felt close, and the result was pretty close at the end. So no, it was a good game 5 and good start to day 2.
Nice job. Corsairs showing up too. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Love it.
it was great. I love Moria is a pretty good matchup for the Corsairs because you outfight them. They usually don't outnumber you, and like I said, Balrog's scary, but if you kill whatever he's fighting, he's not doing a whole lot.
Yeah. You're eliminating
one I was gonna say one fun point of it is he what's the army rule where he engulfs someone in flames?
Oh yeah, the and flame.
Yeah, so he was trying to get to one of my bosuns and he enflamed the bosun. I forget what happened, but the bosun died in one turn. He lost a wound in combat, and then we rolled at the end of the turn to see if he burst in flames, and of course he did. So that was kind of a fun ending to that.
Yeah. Gotta
Did
kill.
he use that? Did he use that in the middle? Because doesn't that also give him, or in the middle of the game? Because doesn't that also give him the 5 ups to hit him? And shadow?
Yeah, it was more so in the middle of the game, and by then all my crossbows were kind of in the fight anyway. I mean, they're still fight for get backstabber, so they don't do as. That's the key to Corsairs is knowing when to throw them in because I have 20 crossbow guys. You don't want them just sitting back, not part of the fight, right? You want to try and get those traps in and body block or just shield guys so you're taking up room. So most of them had joined the fight by then.
Nice. So yeah, getting rid of your shadow doesn't really matter at that point.
Yeah,
and it's only going to negate like a 1+1 to hit. It's good. It's a nice little tweak. It's really good against like something stupid like Dale. The wind lances. It kind of helps. But against Corsairs, yeah, it helps, but it's not doing a crazy amount. So that's cool.
Yeah, and of course I didn't bring the Corsair Ballista because it's shit. So
Yeah. You did against me one time.
Yeah, it's unless they FAQ it to scatter 3 inches, 6 inches is like how is an orc ballista or whatever it's called bolt thrower more accurate than the Corsairs when their thing is shooting? It makes no sense.
They had been waiting for 20 years. That's why. No, I have no idea. I can't logic it out. Very fun. All right, Eli, how did you do round 5?
Not so great. I drew a real tough opponent in Jake Dooley's Minas
Ah,
Morgul. So
ah.
it was the Witch King on Fell Beast, a Taskmaster, and a Captain, and then orcs. I think two specters, and we played Escort the Wounded.
Mm.
And this one, I mean, we both. I kind of sent all three of my wounded pretty straight up. Like the ones on the sides went to the sides and tried to run, and then my chief just went down the middle with the other objective. Um, he was faster than me with that drum, and I made a very crucial mistake. I moved the right side of my line, and I moved my mouth on horse to cast a spell, and then moved him back. And then I moved the middle and my left line, and I was like, "Ooh, he's got a fell beast, a flying creature. I should protect these heroes." And then I did that really, really well, I'll say. And then I looked back at the mouth and went, "Ah, shit." And so Jake also saw it, and he managed to. Well, for one, my Moranans were the smartest Moranans in the world. I was making every intelligence check with for his Spectre's Fell Light, but I couldn't stop his compel with the Witch King, and so he set up a heroic combat, and on the second or third turn managed to kill the mouth, and that a little bit doomed my right flank, but his Witch King dedicated himself to try to stop my objective. And on the very last turn, he managed to hurl one of my Morannons into the guy carrying the wounded and stop that flank. And on the other flank, I was doing a good job of just barely managing to push my guys forward, but he was kind of overwhelming me. But thankfully, the temptations of Sauron kept tempting his orcs to run backwards with his own objectives. And heavy objects can only be moved once per turn. And so, with me moving them at the very beginning, his Morannons or his orcs or whoever carrying him couldn't move him again that turn. So I was able to slowly keep them back. And so I lost this one 9-2,
Mm.
but I managed to prevent anyone from actually getting into my camp, or not
Oh,
my
nice.
camp, but like the safe zones in the corner where you can drop off and get a lot of points. So
Oh, very fun. Nice
yeah,
job.
What?
it was on a beautiful table. This was the Valley of the Morgul.
Oh,
Oh, the
That
winning table.
Yeah, the
yeah.
winning table that won, and it was terrible. I hated it. It was too many choke points for my chieftain. No, it's absolutely gorgeous board. So
Was
very
there
fun.
some pressure going into this from the rematch from Masters two days earlier?
Yeah, I would say there was a little bit of pressure. Yeah, there was. He's a good opponent and a great dancer. So both terrifying things. So
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, Jake's a very good player, and Ethan's board is awesome. Yeah. Very fun.
he's got a good idea with his list too. It's really fast with the drummer.
Yeah, we were talking a lot of theory about it because it plays very similar to how my Fellbeans of Mirkwood played. You're extremely speedy orcs with a monster that can assassinate kind of thing. But I think it's got a little bit more tricks than I did because of that. Witch King on Fellbeast is very good. So
It's a
scary.
terrible matchup for my Morannons because we have the terrible defense or great defense, but terrible courage, and so their blades of the dead were just
Yeah.
carving through my Morannon.
Yeah, all those extra points wasted, not helping with the defense.
Yeah,
That's a pretty bad matchup. Rough.
but it's
But
a great game. It's a great
way
game.
to limit the damage, though. Nicely done.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Max,
And
did
then
you notice anything? Any highlights?
No, I was watching. Well, I was watching Eli's game. I was watching your game. I was obviously watching Richard and Baz's games, as top tables were like truly emerging. At this point, I'm also now looking at like there are now contenders for the most improved award and the best newcomer award. Because like at that point, I can see like who's tracking up the results, who's a little too far to be caught. And so at this point, Cory is in the running for most improved. Alexander Kenny, who also did really great that weekend, was in the running
Yeah.
for most improved. And I'm down to my top four following round five of like who could clinch it depending on how their round six goes. And then yeah, the scenario breakdown for that one, like it was pretty much like 10-7 in each one of those. Like there was no massive swing for any one scenario in round five. People were also very, very pleased by the late start on Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very, very
everybody
nice.
needed a little bit of a sleep in after Saturday.
We almost have room for a seventh game, if we don't start so
I
early.
feel like
No,
no,
no, that's
no,
not.
that's too
No.
much.
Oh, very fun. All right, so we're going into the final round, and I want Max to lead us off on this one. What are you seeing now, table-wise matchups, army matchups, and what are you looking at going into that last round of a very long but fun weekend?
So I'll just do the top three tables as we're going to the final round. So you, Mitchell, are playing Richard on the top table. Richard had just pulled out the win against Baz in round five in a very, very close game. So Richard is running Army of the White Hand, which was a long fear-mongered list prior to this
Yes.
tournament. Still is, but people were very scared of that list coming into Clash this year.
And
On table two, we had
I will say really quick, his round five matchup versus Baz, who's also a very good player, was running Ugluk Scouts and Ian stormed the camp, and that's like a bad matchup, I think, for Army of the White Hand. And so Richard pulled out the win, very clutch.
Yeah, that was pretty clutch. And yeah, so table two is Jake and Nathaniel. Nathaniel actually did go on to win Best Newcomer because it was his first time at Clash. A really good placing up against Jake here. And then table three, we had Baz versus Rob, who had played Cory earlier in the tournament. And so those are the people that are all kind of in contention for the podium at this point.
Nice. Very
And
awesome.
Nate ran Rise of the Necromancer, right?
Yes. Rise of the Necromancer caught everybody
Yes.
off guard. And I'm watching this as he's piloting this all the way up to table two on the final round. And I'm like, wow, that is awesome. And Cory's way up there
Yeah.
too with Corsairs. I love it. It was
The
fun
other
to see like all these lists that are catching everybody off guard. I love underdogs.
Hell yeah.
The other cool thing going into round six is we've just come off the long lunch where we do all the hobby awards and the paint contests. So everyone's has displayed their armies. We had the single figures, we had the dioramas. Joey absolutely stunned the entire world with his Army of the Dead, which are the GW plastics, a couple of cavalry prints for myself, all the translucent ones with LEDs in the base, fog machine, sound machine, like just incredible hobbying dedication. And then some other really cool things like Mark from the island had painted up the new Gundabad catapult troll, one favorite evil army, and it looked insane. Yeah, some really
Yeah.
cool stuff over the lunch.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to point out about Clash is actually I don't remember seeing many unpainted armies, if any at all. Like everybody showed up for hobbying, everybody was on point. Everything looked amazing, and Joey's like display, like you said, it's the demolt, the where the skulls break out in the Return of the King or whatever, where they all come crashing out. He had basically rebuilt that, and there was fog pouring out of it. It was like the coolest display board I've ever seen. It was awesome.
He won the favorite display board with like 45 votes out of 72 or something like that.
Yeah, he won.
Yeah, just no contest.
No, well
Yeah.
deserved. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, go Bellingham.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got some really interesting 6 round matchups. Cory, why don't you kick us off on this next one? For your last round, going into it, what table are you on number? Because you're up there.
Table five. So
Table
yeah, I think
five.
I was in ninth. My opponent, Will, one half of the Hobby Hobbits. He, great guy. He was in 10th. Was looking forward to playing him. I was next to him almost the whole tournament. He was usually the table right next to me, so we talked a lot. So I was excited to have a game against him. We were doing the last pool, which is kill the enemy, and which the whole tournament I've been dreading because I have 51 D3 Corsair, well, most of them D3 Corsairs. I I can't play contest of champions because my hero is a captain, and so that leaves me just kind of to the will of the matchup and what happens. So, uh, luckily, what did I veto? Oh yeah, I vetoed contest. Obviously, he vetoed to the death. Probably a good call. That's a 24-inch deployment one. I have crossbows. He has goblins.
Mhm.
He doesn't lose banner points. That was another kind of nice part throughout the tournament. I don't have the option to a banner, and I played at least four armies. Yeah, four armies that also didn't have an option to a banner, so not quite the detriment as it first seems.
Mm.
Anyways, we rolled into Lords of Battle, which is good because Assassination, he had his army was Moria with the Beast Caller and double Cave Drakes and one captain. So he would have had a Cave Drake to just munch me up. So that worked in my favor big time. And I was grateful he reminded me that that's an in the dark scenario where at first I thought could have been a benefit, but they have Cave Dweller. It wouldn't have helped. It would have been a good time. So I'm happy we avoided it. We played on this nice board made by my one of my previous opponents, Ian. It was kind of there was a shipwreck through the middle, random scatter terrain of shells and stuff he had made. It was really cool. Um, anyways, there was kind of this diagonal shipwreck right in the middle of it there. So he kind of set up behind it. So he was covered off from half the board if I had set crossbows there, which I did have one warband there just to kind of threaten that side. But most of the setup was kind of on the right half of the board. I deployed probably closer than I should have. I don't remember my exact reasoning for being so close in hindsight, but I made sure I was outside of 9 inches or whatever outside of the Cave Drake's potential charging first turn. Um, so yeah, it was good. We did Lords of Battle. I can't remember if I said that already, but it was a good game. We both have lots of models, lots of wounds to give up, so he just kind of came at me as fast as he could on the one side of that ship there. My guys lost targets on the left side, so they just moved right up, kind of try and get the flank on. Get traps later on. This is a game where Reavers definitely came in huge. Once he got close, I mean, he has two cave drakes. The beast caller guy, he's kind of in the back, and then there's just the captain. So I believe he burnt one mite on March right away. So he kind of only had one disposable mite for move offs there. So I'm pretty sure I won almost every move off, and I was able to just tie things up. They didn't quite get to spread out right away. For most of the game, his cave drakes were stuck into just one dude. There was one on the left side, right up against this ship. There was about six Arbalester dudes just right in front of him. He kept charging one. I'd either shoot the guy or he'd just not even kill the guy in combat. Not much was happening there. The one on the right, I think, killed a couple guys with him, but same thing. I'd charge a Reaver in, or I had about 7 throwing dagger guys there, and they just took their turns running at the Drake while all their friends shot into combat. And throughout the game, my whole goal was just killing whatever that cave Drake was fighting so it couldn't barge or get closer to me. I put 6 wounds into the cave Drake just shooting into combat at it. So that was pretty cool. That was just a
Good
bonus.
Lord.
But yeah, I
Wow.
think he was pretty blown away by that too.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah. So yeah, as the game went on, I just
Nice.
goblins came in. My reavers with spear backups in the middle were winning fights there, getting kills where they could. Eventually, his cave drakes were starting to put in some work. He did call heroic combat about the middle of the game. Each drake called heroic combat the same turn. One of them failed to win the combat it was in against one dude who just shielded. So that I felt bad there. The other one killed a Arblaster, got and killed 2 more. He was starting to gain ground here. So my whole battle line was basically there with about 10 guys coming around the back of this boat, and he had a couple prowlers, random goblins. I was starting to outnumber there and just trying to swarm in on his leader, who was the beast collar guy. My captain, who was scared shitless of getting hurled at randomly, he just ran to my board edge. He was happy to just be nowhere near these cave drakes and not give up any wounds there. So about 2/3 of the way through the game, he flew his bat swarm over, and I think was just seeing what it could do against my leader there. I think the turn after that he broke. Bat swarm ran away.
Mm.
Um, we had another round of combat there. He managed to just barely break me, but one thing that was pretty big is that last turn there, I shot into combat once again at the Cave Drake. That's when I did the 6th wound. It has his 1 fate. He passed the 4 up on it, so he stayed on the board, and you get extra points for killing a hero in that one. so I didn't quite get the extra point there I was hoping for, but it ended up being a 5-1 minor win for myself. Yeah, he had some bad dice luck. I think this was the best shooting I had all tournament. Like it just devastated. It just killed goblins, wounded the shit out of the cave drake. There's not
Yeah.
much he could do. I mean, I outfight goblins. He wasn't winning on ties, so no, he was a great opponent. Was happy you got to play him after talking to him throughout the tournament, and no, so it was a great way to end the tournament. So
Nice
yeah,
job.
I was sitting on 5 wins after that. I was ecstatic because my goal was 4-2, which I thought was pretty generous for the Pirates. So 5-1, I was pretty happy.
That's
And
awesome.
threatening podium with 5-1. Yeah, you were up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll show
So,
where everything landed up, but 5 wins and 1 loss is a very good showing, especially for an army that has been, let's be honest, shit on for by a lot of
yeah,
people.
they've been seen as one of the worst armies in the game. So I just wanted to try and do well with it, bring it some glory, and I was happy to succeed at least this weekend.
Well,
And
it's
you,
And
also
you
the
got
nice thing
Morian
about
3 times.
yeah.
yeah.
I
Which,
Well,
cannot
like I
miss three
Moria
Morians.
list, which
It's
Moria
a
list do you fear the most?
what's that?
Which Moria list do you feel the most? Because you played a double Drake, a single Drake, and
Yeah,
a Balrog, right?
double cave drake. I
Double Cave Drake.
the Balrog's scary, but I'm never too scared with it with the a horde or just even the pirates because you can tie it up pretty good. Even if it combats, you can have 8 other dudes there that let it go like 1 inch. So it's never going to get its points back. But the double drakes there, I was very thankful they kind of got bottlenecked between a building and that ship, and they just kind of got stuck in there. In fact, the ship there, it physically prevented the base from getting into more than one guy a couple times, and he was like, "Well, that's just unfortunate." But no, it was a great game. I was happy to end the
Nice job.
tournament that way.
It
Thanks.
also, the nice thing about underdog lists is it really shows like the skill. So nice job piloting that army.
Well,
Absolutely.
Very
thank
nice
you.
job.
I like that it shows that it's any army can do well, right? There may be the medalists, but you just stick to what your army does, and it's obviously a dice game, and luck happens sometimes, and it went in my way a bit this tournament, but it goes both ways. So, no, I was happy with
Basically speaking, the motto of this show: anything can do as long as it's piloted well. You can win with anything. Nice job.
it for
Uh,
sure. Thanks.
since I was table one, is it okay if I save my round for last and
Oh,
Eli
yeah.
goes next?
Yes.
I played Daniel with another Return of the King army, or at least another for this episode. But he had Legolas, Aragorn, and the King of the Dead,
Mm.
and then the bodies to fill it out. And we played Lords of Battle, and I threw everything right on the center line, and I think he got a little overeager, especially with the Legolas shooting. He deployed pretty close to me where he could get some engagements. And I just threw myself into combat. And I managed to get the Mortar Troll Chieftain into the king. And we struck off, but he only has 1 might on the king. So I felt confident spending a might to match him. And so I beat the king. And then Aragorn decided to come in, and then I beat Aragorn. And I think there was 2 rounds of fighting against Aragorn, and I won both rounds. One time, I think he failed to strike up enough. In the second round, he failed the Elven Blade, and Aragorn fell. It was I was a little worried even without that, just because of the number of wounds he was doing. Because once again, Blades of the Dead, I had like 12 dead before I had 5 on his side, but with Aragorn dead, it kind of got it in my favor. And I don't think he won a single priority, and I think I won every single roll off.
Yeah.
And so it was just a waiting game of surrounding and traps, and his guys were fighting back and getting the kills because we're tied fight without Aragorn's fight buff. And so he'd win a fight, he'd kill, and it just took enough of my fights to outnumber and get some wounds. My shaman was just running back and forth and behind my lines, giving fury.
I was gonna say that shaman probably came in so clutch in that game, just a fury running back and forth for everything.
I tried to hide him as much as possible with like 3 or 4 in the ways to try to get it so Legolas didn't snipe him, because I've played that list before, and Legolas has just dumped into the shaman and killed him in 1 turn.
Oof.
That
Nice
reminds me
job.
of like a Soviet commissar going up and down the lines, forcing the orcs to charge.
You can do
That
this. You can do this. Come on. You're not that bad. Love
it
it.
was a good game. I think I was like one wound away from doubling him in wound counts at the very end.
Oof.
But I think I two models away from tabling him.
Yeah.
So um,
It's
it was a
interesting
good
because
game.
I think your list does match up well. I know you're worried about the Blades of the Dead, but the fact that you have the Fury, you have the +1 to wound with Strength 4, you actually do quite a lot of damage. You outnumber. You got the monster to knock over Aragorn and deal with Aragorn. Yeah, it's very very good matchup.
I mean, I think with Legolas, he wins those matchups in that scenario because he could have very well sat like in some
Mm.
terrain and just dumped arrows, killed my banner, killed my shaman, and then decided to engage.
Mm.
But very stand up chap to just fight me like a ghost
Yes.
and die. Unfortunately,
Nice job.
And what was the
That's
score
good.
there?
I think it was 12 nothing.
Oh, solid.
Yeah,
Nice job.
Good final game.
it was a good final
Top
game.
table.
Real great opponent. Yeah, Mitchell, tell us about your game.
Well,
The
really quick, you ended 4-1-1. Is that correct?
Yeah, 4-1-1.
Nice job. Nice job. So top table, when we did this preview, we asked like, what do you not want to see? And I said, I don't want to see Army of the White Hand. I especially don't want to see it with Richard piloting it. It'll just basically come down to what can the Belrog do to shrug off? And because Max said we had an hour before our game, so me and Richard were talking, and we were looking at everything. And it's basically we figured it out. Whoever wins the whole thing. And we were looking at this. The bummer is whoever loses probably gets knocked out of podium. And we're like, that's a bummer. He was also like hesitant because it is the kill scenarios, which he was not very good at, and I'm very good at that one. But at the same time, it's just I think it's a bad matchup for me, Army of the White Hand. And I had never played Army of the White Hand before. That was my first time.
I haven't either.
I've seen theory of it. I've seen a lot of people just run over. I've seen Richard just dominate tournament after tournament with it. So I knew what it could do and I thought what to watch out for. So we go to the veto. I have to veto first. I veto to the death because Richard and I always have good games. Very very competitive games. He usually wins them. I was not going to have it come down to time where he has a banner and I don't. I just wanted to eliminate that, which he was giving me a bunch of flack for because I'd said, "Oh, the banner doesn't really mean much," and then I vetoed the one with the banner. I was like, "Yeah, I get it." And then he vetoed contest because he just didn't want to try to fight Belrog with 10 will resistant to magic. Yeah, he'll probably neuter him, but he just didn't want to risk it. So we rolled off and we got Lords of Battle, which to me, actually, I was feeling really good about that one. I didn't want assassination where he could easily assassinate somebody with Saruman. Um, and it would be like whether or not the Belrog can shrug off a spell and assassinate his guy. So actually, I was happy about that. That is Lords because he's got a lot of Wildmen D3. He's got some Creebane that are D3. He's feeling pretty good about that. And then I deployed and I realized all my pre-gaming that I had done with Army of the White Hand was just don't worry about the lightning, just run in, let your goblins do the thing. And then I deployed and I went, it's Lords of Battle. I'm an idiot. I just deployed normally and he lightninged and got 10 goblins. He killed 8 out of 10
Damn.
with the lightning on turn 1. And I was like, yeah, all right. And then he has 4 bows in that list. Turn 1 shoots 3 goblins with those 4 bows. So he's up 11-0 turn 1. And I'm sitting there like, well, this is okay. Because now it is what it is. Like, if I lose, no big deal. But the only way, I remember thinking this, I'm like, don't panic. The only way I can even compete is get the Balrog in, get my goblins in, trust the banner, trust my resist dice, and see what happens. And I had one plan going into it was in Lords of Battle, those Creebane. I know he likes to dive bomb the back line with Creebane. And those are fight 2 4 wound D3 models. Those are some easy wounds that I could get. So I ran up. He tried to compel the Balrog. just away, I'm assuming, so I couldn't get a lash. So I threw the first turn. You'll see how lucky I got in this game. First turn, I threw 5 base will plus my resist dice because I'm like, I'm gonna shrug this off and hopefully get 1 6, maybe a couple sixes. I got 3 6s, so I only burned 2 base will that first turn. So I'm still at 8 will. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. I missed the lash. Turn two, um, I got the Balrog in. He tried to Sorcerer's Blast. Got the 6 because I think he channeled. I threw another 5 will plus resist. I think I got 1 or 2 6s. Got some will back. So now I'm down to like, I think 5 or 3 will. I can't remember, but I'm still pretty good. This is a turn where I engaged with goblins, and he did dive bomb my backline with a Creebane, and I was able to counter move. And so I pulled back like all my spears, prowlers to get the higher fight. Dive bomb 3 Creebane. I killed 2, put 3. It was 4 Creebane, so I killed 2, put 3 wounds on 1 Creebane and 1 wound on the other Creebane. So that right there is like 12. I got me right back in the game, like right back in the game. So he's up to like at this point, I think it was like 16-12 now. I was like, okay, there's a chance. I can do this. Balrog kills 2, 3. I can't remember how many he killed. Okay, because they shrugged off the spell. We're like, okay, we're getting back in it. We're just gonna have to grind this, and it just became a turn 3 channel. I threw 3 base will plus a resist, got a will back. So now I'm 1. I remember there's a point I shrugged off like every spell. Turn 4, that's why I'm at 1 will with 1 resist. Turn 4, he just threw a transfix, and I didn't want to waste my will, so I just threw the resist dice, and I failed that one. So I was transfixed 1 turn. The Balrog had lost 2 combats, by the way. So even though I'd shrugged off spells, I killed 1 guy, went into 2 others, lost that combat. Shrugged off a spell, lost a combat to just a wildman. So it's not like the Balrog was ripping through, but he was still getting like a couple of kills. It was enough. It was still worth it, and it was also dedicating all of Saruman's stuff. Then it just became wildmen versus goblins with a banner reroll, and I was winning a fair amount of fights because of that banner reroll. And then the Balrog was shrugging off spells. The last turn, he threw just a regular spell. He got a 4 high, so I needed a 5 to resist. I threw my base will plus resist, got the 5, resisted. So I'm out of will, but we're now on last turn, essentially. And I had just pulled ahead on the kill tally, so I was able to rally back because of the goblins. I was doing everything I could to guarantee the Balrog would win a fight. I would put 2, 3 goblins in with his fight combat, spread those goblins out. Balrog would try to go into 1 or 2 others, kill, and it was an attrition game. And the other thing that was helping was I was winning every priority. The only priority he won was the Palantir. That was the only one. Like, I was winning priority. I was resisting every spell. I was bannering, like I would roll a 3 high with a goblin, banner to a 6. And then I wasn't killing but the fact that I was winning so many fights was preventing him from killing. And then the kills that so it ended, we tallied it up. I think I got like 37 or 36 wounds, and he had 32. So it was a very, very tight game, but I was just able to overtake him. And on that last turn that we timed out, I was able to break him for a 7-0 win. But I felt like I should have lost that game. Like, you kind of get a sense of the game and like how it's going. And then when someone's get like a lot of luck, you're like, I feel like, yeah, he should have won that game. I feel like if we were playing that again, I think he would have won it. I would have probably hopefully deployed better, but I felt pretty fortuitous that I was able to pull that out and get the win. And then the nice thing about that was the table 2, Jake and Nathaniel actually tied. So it didn't bump Richard out of podium. He still got 3rd. So it was kind of nice. So he's still podium because I felt like he deserved it.
The Krebane, like all those wounds on the Krebane, though, that's huge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those are pretty easy wounds to grab.
Yeah, he threw the 4 in. Yeah, he threw the 4 in, and then he realized his mistake, and he pulled 1 back and kept the other one back and just refused to charge it again because I got 12 easy wounds back in the game. And like I said, it instantly brought me back in the game once I did that. So,
well, congratulations.
Nice
winner of Clash, first place. No one else was even like really close because it's like you at 34 tournament points and then Baz at 30. So
Yeah.
like that is a solid commanding tournament point win, which
Well,
speaks to, I guess, it proves that the 6 game schedule does work,
yeah,
does provide us a clear winner, but
it
that
does
is
work.
a huge
Uh,
margin of victory.
yeah, and it was fun because like I messaged Marcus and Matt, and this is the banter that comes between us. He's like, "Well, we decided not to come so that you actually would have a chance at winning." So it was like, "Ah." So they threw it right back at me. It was good. No, but it was very fun, a very fun event. I did feel very fortuitous in that last game, but happy to grind out. And it just proves like even in like a big tournament game, I feel like this is where the practice of like tournament games come in. It's not over till it's over. Like just keep playing it. You never know what can happen. And sure enough, that looked like a easy win for Richard, and it just slipped because of dice. I feel like, but I didn't do anything spectacular play wise. I don't think. We both were very good players, so we weren't as long as we. Other than the major mistake I made turn one, there wasn't anything crazy. He didn't leave anybody exposed. Saruman wasn't in danger. His heroes weren't in danger, like that kind of thing. So well played by him. Just I felt pretty good. So yeah, that's about it. So now we can
Nice
go over
work.
the top list because I ended up first. Cory, you ended up
5th, did pretty good. I was
fifth,
happy with that result.
fifth, and you were telling me if you had just gotten that one extra VP, because you won your last game 5-1,
Yeah,
which is a minor win, but that
yeah,
one extra VP would have given a
yeah. The
major.
Cave Drake fate there. He got the roll off to save the wound, but if he ran away, would have made the major. And I think due to VPs, I would have bumped Richard at a third, but that's okay. He deserves to be
But it was a great showing with Corsairs, with captains and bosuns. Nice job.
there.
Nice job.
Yeah, I was sad to leave
Eli.
Dalamir at home, but it
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
make sense. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it worked. I mean, you were
Yeah,
right. Just good to
yeah.
say I was right. Yeah.
Never.
Uh,
I'll never say
Eli, where did you end up?
I ended up in 10th, and I felt great because Tristan, my opponent I drew against, placed ninth. And so
that. Nice.
I'm glad he placed above me after that this solid move between games. So, yeah, I felt like 10th was all right for Blackgate.
Yeah, top 10.
Hell yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
Top 10 in a major event. Very nice. With Blackgate, too. Yes. Nice
It's a very
job.
solid finish. What something I'm looking at the top 10 now. Of the top 10, 9 are evil lists, and only one is good with Alexander Kenny piloting the Kingdom of Khazad-dûm. Everything else was an evil list.
Nice. I love it.
Not nice. No, just kidding. No, Alexander, shout out to you, bringing fame to Durin when I did not. Nice job. Nice job. So, going over the top, because Eli was pointing this out to me, the top 22 lists. There are only, correct me if I'm wrong, Eli, you said only 2 duplicates.
Yep.
That's a large variety of lists, number one, but also competitive lists too. So I thought that was really cool. Cool little stat. Very,
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah, all unique lists. You got everything from obviously Depths and Army of the White Hand, but you got Ugla Scouts, Corsairs, Minas Morgul. You got Shadows of Angmar.
The Necromancer is in there.
Yeah, Necromancer's in there. Yep. Yeah, Rise of the Necromancer's on number 7. That was pretty cool. Nice.
And
Mhm.
people are hating on Rohan, but Julian came 15th with Kingdom of Rohan.
Nice job, Julian.
Way to go,
Shout out to
Julian.
Julian. He was giving me a lot of shade because we played round 1 in the Masters. So there was a little bit of banter going on. We were messaging. And he's like, just tell me, did you bring a Belrog to Masters? So I'm like, no, I did not bring a Belrog to Masters. Like sitting there like this. And he's like, once a Belrog player, always a Belrog player. I'm like, oh, come on, give me a little credit. And then I show up to the GT with a Belrog. He's like, I knew it. I was like, yeah. So very fun. Amazing event. Had a blast. 6 amazing games. Very fun. Any last comments from you, Max?
No, we're coming back for 2026. So I basically made the decision we're staying at the venue. Like it's a great venue. I think I might even reduce tickets just a little bit, just so we are a little bit more comfortable in the venue. but it is now going to be an exclusive sold out event, I think, every year. So if you want to come to Clash, get in early.
I, I
Yeah,
swear
no,
we could fit tables in the pool room.
no.
We'll just expand every day. Take over the hotel. Nice.
Suddenly we're on the second floor lobby, and they're like, "How did you guys get up here?" Yeah, Clash continues to be awesome. I'm gonna be enlisting a lot of help next year because this is the year that finally pushed me over the edge. Is like, Max, don't do everything yourself. Just don't. Just
It's a
get some
lot of
help.
work.
There's lots of fine hobbits. So I'm hoping to, when we return next year, to have a council of people helping me run it.
And I hear we're running low on shirts.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do another shirt order at some point.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's always a great time, and yeah, I definitely will get you some help. Even if I'll help you out because that is a lot of work. It's an amazing event, but I still can't believe you do it all by yourself usually.
The amazing thing about Clash is there is so much help in the community. Like the first thing is like I only own 6 of the boards for Clash. The rest were sourced and they all look phenomenal. Like the community really comes through with that. And then even like the cleanup and setup. Like I got to the hotel with Cory on Friday morning, and it was just me and Cory there. And of course, there's already hobbits standing around like ready to help out with anything we needed. And I'm like, I just know I can count on our community to be there with helping hands, which is
Yeah.
really great. But
The moment we walked in the lobby, there was like 8 other dudes there just grabbing stuff, bringing them down. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it is. I honest to God think that we have in the Lord of the Rings community, and maybe just the Pacific Northwest specifically, we have one of the best wargaming communities in North America.
It is pretty special, I feel like. And I can say this with
Mhm.
confidence as my mini expertise in other game systems. I don't play any other game systems. But I can say it with confidence still that it is the best, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. To everybody that was there, it's great seeing everybody. I hope to see you again next year. And as far as the Durin show goes, I don't know if we're going to get any more episodes out, but we'll pretend. We're going to say absolutely. Maybe in 2 years' time. I have no idea.
Oh, we
But
can come back
thanks.
for Clash next year. We'll make it a
There
Clash
you go. There you go. We'll
recap
do another
show.
preview. But thanks again, Cory, Eli, and Max for putting this together with me. Give if you see my brothers, give them a lot of shit for dropping out. You know, say that they're lame. That they dropped out because they just don't have it anymore. They were just getting walloped by everybody else. That should do some work.
I miss you guys. Come back.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see everybody again next time.
All right.
thanks, guys.